or firefighting equipment in multiplexes, large or small, and to tunnel boring equipments for building metros and high-altitude roads. I also propose a scheme for container manufacturing to create a globally competitive container manufacturing ecosystem with a budgetary allocation of 10,000 crores over a 5-year period. For the labor-intensive textile sector, I propose an integrated program with 5 subparts. 1. The National Fiber Scheme for self-reliance in natural fibers, such as silk, wool, and jute,
man-made fibers, and new age fibers. Textile expansion and employment scheme to modernize traditional clusters with capital support for machinery, technology upgradation, and common testing and certification centers. 3. The National Handloom and Handicraft Program to integrate and strengthen existing schemes and ensure targeted support for weavers and artisans. Tex Eco Initiative to promote globally competitive and sustainable textiles and apparels. Samarth 2.0 to modernize the upgrade the textile skilling ecosystem through collaboration with industry and academic institutions. Further, I propose to set up mega textile parks in challenge mode. They can also focus on bringing value addition to technical textiles. I propose to launch the Mahatma Gandhi Gram Swaraj initiative to strengthen khadi, handloom, and handicrafts. This will help in global market linkage and branding. It will streamline and support training, skilling, quality of process, and production. This will benefit our weavers, village industries, One District, One Product ODOP initiative, and also our rural youth. India has the potential to emerge as a global hub for high-quality, affordable sports goods. I propose a dedicated initiative for sports goods that will promote manufacturing, research, and innovation in equipment design as well as material sciences. Rejuvenation of legacy industrial clusters. I propose to introduce a scheme to revive 200 legacy industrial clusters to improve their cost competitiveness and efficiency through infrastructure and technology upgradation. Creating champion SMEs and supporting micro enterprises. Recognizing MSMEs as a vital engine of growth, I propose a 3-pronged approach to help them grow as champions. Equity support. I propose to introduce a dedicated 10,000 crores SME growth fund to create future champions, incentivizing enterprises based on select criteria. I also propose to top up the Self-Reliant India Fund set up in 2021 with 2,000 crores to continue support to micro enterprises and maintain their access to risk capital. Liquidity support. With TREDS, more than 7 lakh crore has been made available to MSMEs. To leverage its full potential, I propose 4 measures. 1. Mandate TREDS as the transaction settlement platform for all purchases from MSMEs by CPSEs, serving as a benchmark for other corporates. 2. Introduce a credit guarantee support mechanism through CGTMSE for invoice discounting on TREDS platform. 3. Link GEM with TREDS for sharing information with financiers about government purchases from MSMEs, encouraging cheaper and quicker financing. 4. Introduce TREDS receivables as asset-backed securities, helping develop a secondary market, enhancing liquidity and settlement of transactions. Professional support. Government will facilitate professional institutions such as the ICAI, ICSI, ICMAI to design short-term modular courses and practical tools to develop a cadre of corporate mitras, especially in Tier 2 and Tier 3 towns. These accredited para-professionals will help MSMEs meet compliance requirements at affordable costs. Infrastructure. During this past decade, our government has undertaken several initiatives for large-scale enhancement of public infrastructure, including through new financing instruments such as Infrastructure Investment Trust (InvITs) and Real Estate Investment Trust (REITs), and institutions like NIIF and NABFID. We shall continue to focus on developing infrastructure in cities with over 5 lakh population, that is Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, which have expanded to become growth centers. Public capital expenditure has increased manifold from 2 lakh crore in 2014-15 to an allocation of 11.2 lakh crore in BE 25-26. In this coming year, that is financial year 2026-27, I propose to increase it to 12.2 lakh crores to continue the momentum. To strengthen the confidence of private developers regarding risks during infrastructure development and construction phase, I propose to set up an infrastructure risk guarantee fund to provide prudentially calibrated partial credit guarantee to lenders. Over the years, REITs have emerged as a successful instrument for asset monetization. I propose to accelerate recycling of significant real estate assets of the CPSEs through the setting up of dedicated REITs. To promote environmentally sustainable movement of cargo, I propose to 1. Establish new dedicated freight corridors connecting Dankuni in the east to Surat in the west. Operationalize 20 new national waterways over the next 5 years, starting with National Waterways 5 in Orissa to connect mineral-rich areas of Talcher and Angul and industrial centers like Kalinga Nagar to the ports of Paradeep and Dhamra. Training institutes will be set up as regional centers of excellence for development of required manpower for these waterways. This will benefit youth in the entire stretch of the waterways to train and acquire skills. Further, a ship repair ecosystem catering to inland waterways will also be set up at Varanasi and Patna. And C, launch a coastal cargo promotion scheme for incentivizing a modal shift from rail to road to increase the share of inland waterways and coastal shipping from 6% to 12% by 2047. To enhance last mile and remote connectivity and promote tourism, I propose to give incentives to indigenize manufacturing of seaplanes. A seaplane VGF scheme will be also introduced to provide support for operations. Carbon capture, utilization and storage. Aligning with the roadmap launched in December 2025, the carbon capturing carbon capture, utilization and storage technologies at scale will achieve higher readiness and in end-use application across 5 industrial sectors, including power, steel, cement, refineries and chemicals. An outlay of 20,000 crore is proposed over the next 5 years for this purpose. City economic regions. Cities are India's engines of growth, innovation and opportunities. We shall now focus on Tier 2, Tier 3 cities and even temple towns which need modern infrastructure and basic amenities. This budget aims to further amplify the potential of cities to deliver the economic power of agglomerations by mapping city economic regions based on their specific growth drivers. An allocation of 5,000 crore per CER over 5 years is proposed for implementing their plans through a challenge mode with a reform-cum-result-based financing mechanism. In order to promote environmentally sustainable passenger systems, we will develop 7 high-speed rail corridors between cities as growth connectors, namely Mumbai to Pune, Pune to Hyderabad, Hyderabad to Bengaluru, Hyderabad to Chennai, Chennai to Bengaluru, Delhi to Varanasi, Varanasi to Siliguri. Financial sector. The Indian banking sector today is characterized by strong balance sheet, historic highs in profitability, improved asset quality, and coverage exceeding 98% of villages in the country. At this juncture, we are well placed to futuristically evaluate the measures needed to continue on the path of reform-led growth of this sector. I propose setting up a high-level committee on banking for Vikasit Bharat. High-level committee on banking for Vikasit Bharat to comprehensively review the sector and align it with India's next phase of growth, while safeguarding financial stability, inclusion, and consumer protection. The vision for NBFCs for Vikasit Bharat has been outlined with clear targets for credit disbursement and technology adoption in order to achieve scale and improve efficiency in the public sector NBFCs. As a first step, it is proposed to restructure the Power Finance Corporation and Rural Electrification Corporation. I propose a comprehensive review of the foreign exchange management non-debt instruments rules to create a more contemporary, user-friendly framework for foreign investments consistent with India's evolving economic priorities. Corporate bond market. I propose to introduce a market-making framework with suitable access to funds and derivatives on corporate bond indices. I also propose to introduce total return swaps on corporate bonds. Municipal bonds. To encourage the issuance of municipal bonds of higher value by larger cities, I propose an incentive of 100 crore rupees for a single bond issuance. 100 crore rupees for a single bond issuance of more than 1,000 crore. The current scheme under Amrit which incentivizes issuances up to 200 crores only, will also continue to support smaller and medium towns. That will also continue to support the smaller and medium towns. Ease of doing business. Individual persons resident outside India, PROI, will be permitted to invest in equity instruments of listed Indian companies through the Portfolio Investment Scheme. It is also proposed to increase the investment limit for an individual PROI under the scheme from 5% to 10%, with an overall investment limit for all individual PROIs to 24% from the current 10%. Emerging technologies including AI. 21st century is technology-driven. Adoption of technology is for the benefit of all people. Farmers in the field, women in STEM, youth keen to upskill, and Divyangjan to access newer opportunities. The government has taken several steps to support new technologies through AI Mission
undisclosed income or asset is proposed to be up to 1 crore rupees. They need to pay 30% of fair market value of asset or 30% of undisclosed income as tax and 30% as additional income tax in lieu of penalty and would thereby get immunity from prosecution. For category B, asset value is proposed to be up to 5 crore rupees. Here, immunity from both penalty and prosecution will be available with a payment of fee of 1 lakh rupees. Rationalizing penalty and prosecution. Multiplicity of proceedings are hindrance to the ease of doing business. I propose to integrate assessment and penalty proceedings by way of a common order for both. There will be no interest liability on the taxpayer on the penalty amount for the period of appeal before the first appellate authority, irrespective of the outcome of appeal process. Further, quantum of prepayment is being reduced from 20% to 10% and will continue to be calculated only on core tax demand. As an additional measure for reducing litigation, I propose to allow to update their returns even after reassessment proceedings have been initiated and an additional 10% tax rate over and above the rate applicable for the relevant year. The assessing officer will then use only this updated return in his proceedings. There is already a framework for immunity from penalty and prosecution in the cases of underreporting. I propose to apply this framework for immunity to misreporting too. However, in such a case, the taxpayer will need to pay 100% of the tax amount as an additional income tax over and above the tax and interest due. Penalties for certain technical defaults, such as failure to get accounts audited, non-furnishing of transfer pricing audit report, and default in furnishing statement for financial transactions are proposed to be converted into fee. I propose to rationalize prosecution framework under Income Tax Act while maintaining a careful balance for deterrence in some serious offence. Non-production of books of account and documents and requirement of TDS payment where payment is made in kind are being decriminalized. Further, minor offences will attract fine only. The remaining prosecutions will be graded commensurate with the quantum of offence. They will entail only simple imprisonment with maximum imprisonment reduced to 2 years and power to courts to convert even those into fines. There is no penalty. There is no penalty presently for non-disclosure of non-immovable foreign assets with aggregate value less than 20 lakh rupees. I propose to also provide them with immunity from prosecution with retrospective effect from 1/10/2024. Cooperatives. Deduction is already allowed to a primary cooperative society engaged in supplying milk, oilseeds, fruits or vegetables raised or grown by its members. I propose to extend this deduction to also include supply of cattle feed and cotton seed produced by its members. I propose to allow inter-cooperative society dividend income as deduction under the new tax regime to the extent it is further distributed to its members. I further propose to allow exemption for a period of 3 years to dividend income received by a notified national cooperative federation on their investments made in companies up to 31/1/2026. This exemption would be allowed only for dividends further distributed to its member cooperatives. Supporting IT sector as India's growth engine. India is a global leader in software development services, IT-enabled services, knowledge process outsourcing services, and contract R&D services relating to software development. These businesses and their segments are quite interconnected with each other. All these services are proposed to be clubbed under a single category of information technology services with a common safe harbor margin of 15.5% applicable to all. The threshold for availing safe harbor for IT services is being enhanced substantially from 300 crore rupees to 2,000 crore rupees. Safe harbor for IT services shall be approved by an automated rule-driven process without any need for tax officer to examine and accept the application. Once applied by an IT services company, the same safe harbor can be continued for a period of 5 years at a stretch at its choice. For IT services companies who want to conclude advanced pricing agreement, APA, I propose to fast-track unilateral APA process for IT services and endeavor to conclude it within a period of 2 years. The period of 2 years can be extended by a further period of 6 months on taxpayers' request. I propose to extend the facility of modified returns available to the entity entering APA to its associated entities also. Attracting global business and investment. Recognizing the need to enable critical infrastructure and boost investment in data centers, I propose to provide tax holiday till 2047 to any foreign company that provides cloud services to customers globally by using data center services from India. It will, however, need to provide services to Indian customers through an Indian reseller entity. I also propose to provide a safe harbor of 15% on cost in case the company providing data center services from India is a related entity. To harness the efficiency of just-in-time logistics for electronic manufacturing, I propose to provide safe harbor to non-residents for component warehousing in a bonded warehouse at a profit margin of 2% of the invoice value. The resultant tax of about 0.7% will be much lower than in competing jurisdictions. To provide fillip to toll manufacturing in India, I propose to provide exemption from income tax for 5 years to any non-resident who provides capital goods, equipment, or tooling to any toll manufacturer in a bonded zone. To encourage vast pool of global talent to work in India for a longer period of time, I propose to provide exemption to global, non-India sourced income of a non-resident expert for a stay period of 5 years under notified schemes. I propose to provide exemption from minimum alternate tax, the MAT, to all non-residents who pay tax on presumptive basis. Tax administration. I propose to constitute a joint committee of Ministry of Corporate Affairs and Central Board of Direct Taxes for incorporating the requirements of income computation and disclosure standards, the ICDS, in the Indian Accounting Standards, IND AS itself. Separate accounting requirement based on ICDS will be done away with from the tax year 27-28. To support Prime Minister Modi's vision of homegrown accounting and advisory firms to become global leaders, I propose to rationalize the definition of accountant for the purposes of safe harbor rules. Other tax proposals. Change in taxation of buyback was brought in to address the improper use of buyback route by promoters. In the interest of minority shareholders, I propose to tax buyback for all types of shareholders as capital gains. However, to disincentivize misuse of tax arbitrage, promoters will pay an additional buyback tax. This will make effective tax 22% for corporate promoters. For non-corporate promoters, the effective tax will be 30%. TCS rate for sellers of specific goods, namely alcoholic liquor, scrap and minerals, will be rationalized to 2%, and that on tendu leaves will be reduced from 5% to 2%. I propose to raise the STT on futures to 0.05% from the present 0.02%. STT on options premium and exercise of options are both proposed to be raised to 0.15% from the present rate of 0.1% and 0.125% respectively. We reformed the taxation landscape for corporates in 2019 by providing them a simplified regime with lower tax rate so that they could productively focus on business rather than on claim of deductions and exemptions. To encourage companies to shift to the new regime, set-off of brought forward MAT credit, minimum alternate tax credit, is proposed to be allowed to companies only in the new regime. Set-off using available MAT credit is proposed to be allowed to an extent of 1/4 of the tax liability in the new regime. MAT is proposed to be made final tax, so there will be no further credit accumulation from 1st April 2026. In line with this change, the rate of final tax is being reduced to 14% from the current MAT rate of 15%. The brought forward MAT credit of taxpayers accumulated till 30th March 2026 will continue to be available to them for set-off as above. Indirect taxes. I shall now take up proposals related to indirect taxes. My proposals for customs and central excise aim to further simplify the tariff structure, support domestic manufacturing, promote export competitiveness, and correct inversion in duty. To continue weeding out long continuing customs duty exemptions, I propose to remove certain exemptions on items which are being manufactured in India or where the imports are negligible. Similarly, to further simplify the process of ascertaining the rate of duty applicable on a particular item, I propose to incorporate certain effective rates in various customs notifications to the tariff schedule itself. I shall now take up sector-specific proposals. Promotion of exports of marine, leather, and textile products. I propose to increase the limit for duty-free imports of specified inputs used for processing seafoods for export from the current 1% to 3% of FOB value of the previous year's export turnover. I also propose to allow duty-free imports of specified inputs, which is currently available for exports of leather or synthetic footwear, to exports of shoe uppers as well. I propose to extend the time period for export of final product from the existing 6 months to 1 year for exporters of leather or textile garments, leather or synthetic footwear, and other leather products. Energy transition and security. I propose to extend the basic customs duty exemption given to capital goods used for manufacturing lithium-ion cells for batteries to those used for manufacturing lithium-ion cells for battery energy storage systems also. I propose to exempt basic customs duty on import of sodium antimonate for use in manufacture of solar glass. Nuclear power. I propose to extend the existing basic customs duty exemption on imports of goods required for nuclear power projects till the year 2035 and expand it for all nuclear plants irrespective of their capacity. Critical minerals. It is proposed to provide basic customs duty exemption to the import of capital goods required for the processing of critical minerals in India. Biogas blended CNG. I propose to exclude the entire value of biogas while calculating the central excise duty payable on biogas blended CNG. Civil and defense aviation. I propose to exempt basic customs duty on components and parts required for the manufacture of civilian training and other aircrafts. It is proposed to exempt basic customs duty on raw materials imported for the manufacture of parts of aircraft to be used in maintenance, repair, or overall requirements by units in the defense sector. Electronics. To deepen value addition in the consumer electronics sector, I propose to exempt basic customs duty on specified parts used in the manufacture of microwave ovens. Special economic zone. To address the concerns arising about utilization of capacity by manufacturing units in the special economic zones due to global trade disruptions, I propose as a special one-time measure to facilitate sales by eligible manufacturing units in SEZs to the domestic tariff area at concessional rates of duty. The quantity of such sales will be limited to a prescribed proportion of their exports. Necessary regulatory changes will be undertaken to operationalize the measures while ensuring level playing field for the units working in the DTA. Ease of living. To rationalize the customs duty structure for goods imported for personal use, I propose to reduce the tariff rate on all dutiable goods imported for personal use from 20% to 10%. To provide relief to patients, particularly those suffering from cancer, I propose to exempt basic customs duty on 17 drugs or medicines. I propose also to add 7 more rare diseases for the purposes of exempting import duties on personal imports of drugs, medicines, and food for special medical purposes used in their treatment. Customs process. India's role and share in the global trade is poised for a major leap in line with our ambition and journey towards Vikasit Bharat. In this regard, I propose many measures for custom processes to have minimal intervention for smoother and faster movement of goods and greater certainty to the trade. Trust-based systems. I propose to enhance duty deferral period for Tier 2 and Tier 3 authorized economic operators, known as AEOs, from 15 days to 30 days. I propose to provide eligible manufacturer importers the same duty deferral facility. This should encourage them to get themselves accredited as a full-fledged Tier 3 AEO in due course. To provide greater certainty and for better business planning, I propose to extend validity period of advance ruling binding on customs from the present 3 years to 5 years. In the spirit of the whole of government approach, government agencies will be encouraged to leverage AEO accreditation for preferential treatment in clearing their cargo. Regular importers with trusted long-standing supply chains will be recognized in the risk system so that the need for verification of their cargo every time can be minimized. Export cargo using electronic sealing. Export cargo using electronic sealing will be provided through clearance from the factory premises to the ship. For import of goods not needing any compliance, filing of bill of entry by a trusted importer and arrival of goods will automatically notify customs for completing their clearance formalities. This will enable goods to be released immediately on arrival. The customs warehouse framework will be transformed into a warehouse operator-centric system with a self-declarations, electronic tracking, and risk-based audit. These reforms will move away from the current system of officer-dependent approvals and reduce transaction delays and compliance costs. Ease of doing business. Approvals required for cargo clearance from various government agencies will be seamlessly processed through a single and interconnected digital window by the end of the financial year. Processes involved in clearance of food, drugs, plant, and animal and wildlife products, accounting for about 70% of interdicted cargo, will be operationalized on this system by April 2026 itself. For goods not having any compliance requirement, clearance will be done by customs immediately after online registration is completed by the importer, subject to the payment of duty. Customs integrated system will be rolled out in 2 years as a single integrated and scalable platform for all customs processes. Utilization of non-intrusive scanning with advanced imaging and AI technology for risk assessment will be expanded in a phased manner with the objective to scan every container across all the major ports. New export opportunities to support Indian fishermen to fully harness the economic value of marine resources beyond our territorial waters. The following measures will be taken. A. Fish catch by an Indian fishing vessel in exclusive economic zone or on the high seas will be made free of duty. Landing of such fish on foreign port will be treated as export of goods. Safeguards will be put in place to prevent misuse during fish catch, transit, or transshipment. To support aspirations of India's small businesses, artisans, and startups to access global markets through e-commerce, I am pleased to announce complete removal of the current value cap of 10 lakh rupees per consignment on courier exports. In addition, handling of rejected and returned consignments will be improved with effective use of technology for identifying such consignments. I propose to revise provisions governing baggage clearance during international travel to address genuine concerns of passengers. The revised rules will enhance duty-free allowances in line with the present-day travel realities and provide clarity in temporary carriage of goods brought in or taken out. There are honest taxpayers who are willing to settle disputes by paying all their dues, but they get deterred due to negative connotation associated with penalty. They will now be able to close cases by paying an additional amount in lieu of penalty. Honorable Speaker, sir, with this, I commend the budget to this august House. Jai Hind. 1.5 hours.
आइटम नंबर 3 माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी।
Item number 2, sir.
3
3. Sir, with your permission, I rise to lay on the table of the the following statements under Section 3, 1 of the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act of 2003, medium-term fiscal policy cum fiscal policy strategy statement, and macroeconomic framework statement.
आइटम नंबर 4 माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी।
Sir, with your permission, I move for leave to introduce the Finance Bill 2026.
प्रश्न ये कि विधेयक को पुनर्स्थापित करने की अनुमति प्रदान की जाए। जो सदस्य इस पक्ष में हाँ गए, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए, मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हाँ वालों के पक्ष में अनुमति प्रदान की जाती है। माननीय मंत्री जी, अब विधेयक पुनर्स्थापित करें।
Sir, I introduce the bill.
माननीय सदस्यगण, आपको सूचित किया जाता है कि माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी के बजट भाषण की कॉपी पब्लिकेशन काउंटर पर ली जाती है। बजट भाषण और बजट से संबंधित दस्तावेज आपके मोबाइल फोन और मेंबर पोर्टल्स पर ही उपलब्ध है। सभा की कार्रवाई कल सोमवार दिनांक 2 फरवरी 2026 को प्राप्त 11 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती है।
भारत माता की, भारत माता की, हर 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 जय जय श्री राम। সমবেত বিশ্বের সর্ববৃহৎ রাজনৈতিক দল, যার 15 কোটি সদস্য, যে পার্টি নেশন ফার্স্ট মন্ত্রে দীক্ষিত ভারতীয় জনতা পার্টির শিলিগুড়ি বিভাগের 4টি সাংগঠনিক জেলা থেকে আগত দেবতুল্য কার্যকর্তাগণ, আপনাদেরকে প্রণাম, শ্রদ্ধা, নমস্কার এবং জোহার জানাই। আমরা সবাই উপবিষ্ট হয়েছি আমাদের এই দেশের শক্তিশালী নেতা, ভারতীয় জনতা পার্টির অন্যতম সর্বোচ্চ স্তম্ভ, দেশের লোকপ্রিয় স্বরাষ্ট্র এবং সমবায় মন্ত্রী সম্মানীয় অমিত শাহজির বক্তব্য শোনার জন্য তাকে আমি স্বাগত জানাই, তাকে আমি শ্রদ্ধা জানাই, তাকে আমি কৃতজ্ঞতা জ্ঞাপন করি। উপবিষ্ট আছেন আমাদের রাজ্যের জনপ্রিয় সভাপতি, কয়েক দশক ধরে এই আদর্শের জন্য যিনি লড়াই করছেন, রাজ্যসভার সাংসদ মাননীয় শ্রমিক ভট্টাচার্য মহোদয়কে, ভারত সরকারের মাননীয় রাষ্ট্রমন্ত্রী কৃতি অধ্যাপক ডক্টর সুকান্ত মজুমদার মহোদয়কে, 3 সাংসদ আছেন মাননীয় রাজু বিস্তা, মাননীয় মনোজ টিগ্গা, মাননীয় ডক্টর জয়ন্ত রায় এবং প্রাক্তন সাংসদ নিশীথ প্রামাণিক সহ আমাদের রাজ্যের জিএস বাপি গোস্বামী সহ সম্মানিত মঞ্চ এবং আমার সাথী 14 জন বিধায়ক বৃন্দ, আমি প্রত্যেককে সম্মান জানিয়ে আজকে আমরা নেতার কথা শুনব। ইতিমধ্যে প্রথমার্ধে ব্যারাকপুরে উত্তর 24 পরগনা বিভাগের কার্যকর্তা সম্মেলনে মাননীয় নেতা আগামী 26-এর যে নির্বাচন হতে চলেছে, আগামী কিছুদিনের মধ্যে 100 দিনের মধ্যে সেই নির্বাচনে 4টি বিন্দু ঠিক করে দিয়েছেন, যার উপরে এবারের নির্বাচনে বাংলার গণদেবতা জনতা জনার্দনকে আসল পরিবর্তন করতে হবে। অনুপ্রবেশকারী অবৈধ হাঁটাও বাংলা থেকে, ভারতবর্ষ বাঁচাও, পশ্চিমবঙ্গ বাঁচাও। দ্বিতীয় হচ্ছে ভ্রষ্টাচার দুর্নীতি মুক্ত। তৃতীয় হচ্ছে সিন্ডিকেট রাজ খতম 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 করো। আর চতুর্থ হচ্ছে মা বোন দিদি কন্যার সুরক্ষা দাও। আমরা সবাই সৈনিক, আমাদের সবাইকে বুথে শক্তি কেন্দ্রে ওয়ার্ডে দলকে শক্তিশালী করতে হবে এবং আমাদের নেতার নাম নরেন্দ্র মোদী, আমাদের প্রতীক পদ্ম, জয় আমাদের লক্ষ্য আর পরিবর্তন আমাদের সংকল্প। এই সংকল্প নিয়ে আমাদের যেতে হবে। 24 লোকসভা নির্বাচনে জয় জগন্নাথ বলে আমরা উড়িষ্যা জিতেছি, কলিঙ্গ জয় হয়ে গেছে। কিছুদিন আগে 25 সালের শেষে আমরা জয় সীতা মাইয়া বলে আমরা বিহার জিতেছি, অর্থাৎ অঙ্গ আমরা জিতে গেছি। এবারে আমরা জয় মা কালী বলে, জয় মহাকাল বলে, জয় জয় শিবচণ্ডী বলে আমরা এবারে বঙ্গ জিতবো জিতবো জিতবো। অঙ্গ বঙ্গ কলিঙ্গ আমরা সবাই মোদিজির হাতে তুলে দেব। এই শপথ আমাদেরকে নিয়ে যেতে হবে। আপনাদের সকলকে বলবো, बिहार का जीत हमारी है। आप बिहार का जीत हमारी है। अब बंगाल का बारी है। बांग्ला দিতে হবে বিজেপিকে, বাংলা পশ্চিমবঙ্গ বাঁচাতে হবে। সবাই বলুন পাল্টানো দরকার, আরো জোরে পাল্টানো দরকার, আরো জোরে পাল্টানো দরকার, আরো জোরে পাল্টানো দরকার, আরো জোরে পাল্টানো দরকার। সবাই ভালো থাকবেন। সবাইকে শ্রদ্ধা জানিয়ে চিলা রায়, ঠাকুর পঞ্চানন বর্মা, কবি ভানু ভক্ত, মেজর দুর্গা মল্ল এবং ভগবান বিরসা মুন্ডাকে প্রণাম জানিয়ে আমার কথা শেষ করলাম। জয় গোর্খা, জয় গোর্খা, জয় জয় শিবচণ্ডী, জয় জোহার।
ধন্যবাদ সম্মানীয় শুভেন্দু দাকে। আমি আজকের এই কার্যকর্তা সম্মেলনে এখন